Out here, when the sun drops behind the tree line, the land changes. The fields you worked all day, the ones that smelled of diesel and sweat and fertilizer, turn into something else, an open wound waiting to be tested. And it always starts the same way. A hum under the ground, a shuffle of hooves, then the sudden sound of roots tearing loose. By the time you grab a flashlight, it's already too late. They've come again. Wild boars, feral pigs. Call them what you want. To farmers, they're a force of nature with no off switch. One sow can birth 20 pigs a year. Do the math. Across the South, there are more than 5 million now creatures that root like plows and move like ghosts. They chew through irrigation lines, knock down fences, and turn a season's worth of work into splintered stalks overnight. Folks talk about droughts, floods, and prices. We talk about pigs. I wasn't born a hunter. I became one because the land left me no choice. My first trap was a Joker square pen welded out of cattle panels and desperation. They tore through it in one night. That was the first lesson. If you're not smarter than them, you're just feeding them. Now I use what we call a corral trap, a heavy circular cage. 8 feet across, built from wire mesh and steel posts, with a drop gate that shuts like a guillotine when tripped. We bait it with whole corn soaked in molasses and diesel. The scent cuts through the cold air like candy and gasoline mixed together. But bait isn't what wins the war. Patience does. You have to make the trap part of the landscape. Leave it there for days. Let the pigs trust it. Feral hogs are suspicious. They smell change like blood in water. If they sense human scent, they vanish for weeks. So we mount cameras on trees, set infrared sensors, and watch from miles away on a phone screen. The footage looks like some kind of nightmare ballet, white bodies swirling in black night, tusks flashing in the IR light. You learn their hierarchy. The big boar first, then the sows, then the small ones circling like shadows. The first time I caught a full sound of 15, maybe more, I felt two things: victory and guilt. Victory because for once the field was safe. Guilt because I knew what came next. Hunting them isn't sport. It's damage control. Every shot fired is a patch of ground saved. We move before dawn. The frost hangs low. Our breath fogs the headlights. The trap hums with movement, steel panels rattling. The air smells like wet soil and adrenaline. We don't shoot from the truck that's sloppy and cruel. We flank. We breathe. We wait for clear lines. The goal is simple. End it fast, clean, humane. When the lead board drops, the others slam into the gate, screaming like a storm caught in metal. That sound, half rage, half fear, stays in your chest long after the noise is gone. Loading them is brutal work. Each body is heavy as guilt. We save what we can: meat, hide, fat. Nothing wasted. Some goes to local processors, some to feed stores. It's a small repayment for the ruin they bring. But for every pig gone, 10 more out there, breeding in the dark. That's the math we live with. Sometimes we hunt from towers 15 feet above the barley, rifle steady, eyes scanning the thermoscope. At night, the world turns into shades of white and black. Heat is everything. A flicker means movement. A pulse means life. When the shot breaks the quiet, the echo rolls for miles. You wait. You breathe. You hope it was clean. Still, you can't shoot your way out of this problem. We've tried. Texas alone kills hundreds of thousands a year, and yet the population grows. That's when technology steps in. Drones, AI cameras, GPS collars, all tools in a war that never really ends. I've flown drones over my own land, watching herds move like rivers, flowing from one patch of forest to another. They're smart. They learn. Sometimes they even watch the drones, tracking the watchers. What scares me most isn't the destruction, it's the intelligence. These animals adapt faster than we do. They learn to move under trees when satellites pass, to avoid open fields when the moon is bright. They've turned survival into art. There's a strange respect that builds over time. You start to see them not as monsters, but as something ancient, efficient, relentless. You realize that maybe we built this problem ourselves through overgrowth, easy food, no predators. And now we're paying the debt. Every morning, I drive the fence line and check for new damage. Some days, it's just tracks in the mud. Other days, it's an acre gone, torn to ribbons. But we rebuild. We replant. We fight again. Because that's what farming has always been hope. Rebuilt every sunrise. From drones to traps, from tech to instinct. We're learning to match their cunning with our own. But the truth is, this war doesn't end. It only pauses between nights. And when the moon rises over the fields, we listen again for that low hum under the earth, that whisper that tells you they're back. Morning always looks innocent from the porch. The light breaks slow, golden, gentle on the pastures, as if the land wants to apologize for what happened overnight. But the damage is already written across the soil. Trenches where roots used to be, irrigation lines peeled open like veins. You drink your coffee and stare at it, half in disbelief, half in anger. That's when you realize this isn't just about guns and fences anymore. This is about outsmarting an animal that's evolving faster than our traditions. The war against wild boars has gone digital. Across Texas, Georgia, and the Carolinas, farmers are syncing their phones to networks that map heat signatures, sound patterns, and migration routes. Drones have become our new guard dogs, circling above the fields in slow orbits. From their cameras, the ground looks like a living map of motion, rivers of shadows threading through tall grass. Some nights, I sit in my truck watching a live feed on a tablet, the hum of the generator mixing with the soft static of the screen. You learn to read movement like language, the steady pace of deer, the nervous scatter of rabbits, and then that unmistakable rolling motion pigs. Always together, always pushing. The drones aren't just eyes. They're teachers. They tell us where to set traps, when to lie low, and how the herds shift after rain. Artificial intelligence filters the footage, counting animals, tagging dominant boars, predicting routes. It's strange, the same algorithms that once tracked traffic in cities are now protecting crops in the back roads. Out here, data is survival, but technology has its limits. The pigs adapt faster than code updates. One night last winter, the thermal drone lost track of a group near the river. They had figured out how to stay in the tree cover, moving only when the camera's battery warning beeped. When we reached the site hours later, the ground was ripped apart. Every sensor post had been knocked down, cables bitten clean through. It felt like retaliation. You start to wonder, are we hunting them? Or are they learning how to hunt us? At the University of Texas, a team of engineers is working on smart traps, cages that use motion sensors, cameras, and remote triggers. They can be activated from a phone, allowing farmers to close the gate only when the entire sounder is inside. No more half catches that teach the rest to avoid metal. These new systems are expensive, but they work. I saw one in action last spring. 12 pigs captured at once, the gate slamming with hydraulic force. The footage was brutal, clean, efficient. The kind of thing you don't brag about, but replay in your mind like proof of progress. Every advancement feels like a small victory, but also a confession that we've reached a point where human presence alone isn't enough. The old rhythms of farm life, walking the perimeter, fixing fences, checking wells, now come with a drone charger, a thermal camera, and a Wi-Fi antenna pointed toward the sky. The land has become a battlefield wired for signal. Still, for every tech breakthrough, there's a cost. Farmers trade long hours in the field for late nights behind screens. Some say it's not worth it, that we're turning agriculture into warfare. But for those who've seen a year's work erased in one night, there's no moral debate. Survival has its own ethics. I remember one evening in Louisiana, working with a rancher named Cole. His land bordered a swamp thick with cattails and mud so deep it swallowed boots whole. He'd lost 60 acres to hogs in a month. We set up drones with thermal sensors, circling low over the marsh. The footage that came back was eerie, dozens of glowing bodies moving like phantoms through mist. Cole watched the screen and whispered, "That's not nature. That's invasion." He was right. The Sounders weren't just feeding. They were expanding, pushing into new territory every night. We launched coordinated operations. Drones above, ground teams below, traps sensed by satellite. For a few weeks, the numbers dropped. But then came the rains, the rivers swelled, and new herds crossed from neighboring counties. The line between progress and futility blurred again. There's a paradox at the heart of this fight. Every new technology makes us more powerful, but also more dependent. We start measuring our worth not by how we till the soil, but by how we process the data. We stop listening to the earth and start listening to the devices that translate it for us. Out here, it's easy to forget that this isn't just a tech problem. It's an ecological one. Ecologists warn that hunting alone can't solve it. That without reintroducing predators or controlling reproduction, the balance will never return. Some propose sterilization programs delivered by drone drop bait. Others talk about using synthetic pheromones to disrupt breeding cycles.